everybody, it's time to LOL. Listen out loud, that is. It's time for Anime Jam Session with DJ Ranma S, Mako-chan, and Ari Rockefeller.
Hey everybody, welcome to Anime Jam Session, episode number 657. We are that podcast that talks about anime, games, conventions, the fandom, geek stuff, and everything in between. I'm DJ Ranma S.
I'm Ari Rockefeller.
And I seem to also be Ari Rockefeller.
Yeah, I just noticed that, so I apologize for the lateness. I have been...
What the
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was focused on the Skype window. I just looked at the live feed. I'm like, what the fuck?
Hold on.
This podcast has been
Well, let me fix that. Well, let me fix that too. Well, you gotta understand. It is holidays. So that...
This planet can't handle one of me, much less two of me.
Well, to be fair, we are running a little bit late because I got in late and then I had to take care of some stuff behind the scenes. And then my mixer decided that no matter what button, no matter if I turn monitoring off or on, it doesn't turn off. And I mean, I understand there are a lot of voice actors prefer monitoring on, but for me, that whole echoing effect, I can't. Sometimes it just messes with me. It sounds like I'm double talking, so it messes with my head big time. So, thankfully, with the background music from VLC, I can just hit the mute button and we're saved. Because the funny thing is, after that intro, the way it's supposed to be, I have 5 seconds. I'm probably going to change it to 30. I have 30 seconds to flip over to VLC and shut it off. So, you know. Anywho, well, I guess I should make the best of it. Yeah. And even though it feels like it's cutting in and out, but I don't know. I legitimately don't know. So, shall we get the show on the road?
Sure.
And since I'm sweating my arse off in this little shoebox studio, even though I have the window open, the house heat is just kind of high. Kind of reminds me when I used to live in the Bronx and I had to deal with the same thing. You gotta love it when your room is 70 degrees in the winter and you have the windows open and the wind is blowing and snow is falling and it still feels like you're running around in the desert.
Huh.
I know, right? Anywho, let's get it popping because we got a lot to cover and a lot to do. So, welcome to Anime Jam Session, episode number 657. We are that podcast that talks about anime, games, conventions, the fandom, geek stuff, and everything in between. I'm DJ Ranma S.
I'm Ari Rockefeller.
And I'm Mako-chan.
And with the ubiquitous question, how is everybody doing tonight?
Recovering.
I legitimately feel that on a spiritual level. I can't believe it. I legitimately cannot believe it. I'm still
Believe what?
The monitoring, it's messing with my head so badly.
Oh, that's not good.
I know, I mentioned it before. Hitting the monitoring button doesn't do anything. And the most I've done was fiddle with the USB ports, the USB cables, thinking I had a faulty cable, but no. I'm probably going to have to see about factory resetting this mixer and then see how it goes from there. Hold on for a second. I'm going to try something. Did I get it? Nope. Did not get it. Cedarbury says he's glad that the holiday starts tomorrow evening and his portion of Thanksgiving dinner is done. I'm kind of lucky. My Thanksgiving vacation started about 3.5 hours ago. So, enough about that. So let's get it going. We are live tonight, week of November 26, 2024, right here on Twitch TV. We're here live Tuesdays from 9 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern time willing. You can always find us on Twitch TV/Anime Jam Session. We're also proud to be part of the Voice of Geeks Network at vognetwork.com. So come by and show them a little bit of love. And also, you can find them on Twitch as well. You can find them at Twitch TV/VogNetwork. And come hang out in our Discord channel, vognetwork.com/Discord. Every show that's part of the Voice of Geeks Network has their own channel, so come through, hang out, and have a good time. I think that's kind of cool. So now that we got that out of the way, we're going to go ahead with how was your week and how was your day? So, Ari, how was your week and how was your day?
Not too special, I'm afraid. It's mostly just work stuff.
It's something.
I did get a new pair of boots for the winter.
Now, that's good.
They're black, so I can wear them for work. Well, I mean, a couple days ago I was doing just that, so I could break them in before the actual snow and whatnot started falling.
All right.
And let's see. I did get a couple of my prints up on the wall, actually hung up.
Mm-hmm.
And also today I was cooking, in the kitchen. You had a just bacon in a cast iron skillet.
Mm-hmm.
But it accidentally set off the smoke alarm. Nothing was on fire or burning or anything. But what happened was, like, it kept going off. I had to go over to the wall and reset the ADT. Tell them, like, okay, it's not a big deal. And then I got a call from ADT saying, like, hey, we need to send firefighters over there and whatnot? Like, no, you don't have to send anything. I'm fine. So yeah, all in all, not that much exciting happening. And quite frankly, I'll just be very glad once this holiday season is over.
Yeah, I can get with that. Mako-chan, how was your week? How was your day?
I've just basically been trying to recover from being sick.
Oh, that's good. I'm
And
glad that you're feeling much better.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better. But of course, with the cold comes the month-long dry cough, plagued with just about every year around this time. So yeah, I still have my cough and it won't go away.
That's not good.
No, it wears me the fuck out. It's such pain in the ass. I basically have not slept straight through the night since I got sick because of it. So, good times.
You'll be all right. I wouldn't worry too much.
No, I've got my humidifier going and all of that, so I'm attempting things. It's a pain in the ass.
Well, on the plus side, I did find out instructions on how to reset this mixer, so I will play around with that later tonight after the show. All the edits are done. My weekend day's been pretty much the usual. I went out with some friends Saturday night. Went out with some friends Friday night, and found myself being like the good guy, advice guy. I'm like, as long as things work out. Sunday, I went up to a friend's house to help fix his DDR machine. Now, before anybody starts coming at me needing help and support with a DDR machine, he has a DDR cabinet. All the original guts have been ripped out. The dance pads have been are plugged in through USB, and the speakers are plugged in through an audio patch cable. And there's a PC that runs Stepmania and other DDR software applications as well. It seems that the timing was off, so I went up there, downloaded the latest drivers for his machine. It is a very old AMD box, but it still works for what it needs to do. All it's doing is strictly DDR. That's it. His girlfriend did some tests, like some some test runs on it, and it was working fine. So everything is good and great with that. I can say something cool did happen to me on Friday though. I actually met one of my favorite wrestling celebrities.
Oh?
Yes. So what had happened was I had opened the door for one of my coworkers because I needed to talk to him about something. He had submitted a ticket about his camera, so I was like, I figured I'd talk to him. So this woman walks in with her entourage, which is two people, and she says, and I'm like, let her in, there you go. And she goes, nice shirt. And I was like, thank you. And then I go, wait a minute. Because that voice sounded familiar, the face looked familiar, and I'm like, I'm wearing a Cyndi Lauper shirt, so I understand, like, nice shirt. So I'm thinking, I'm just like, wait a minute, I know this person, and I go back to my desk and I think, and then a light switch turns on. Okay, I met Mercedes Varnado, and for those of you who don't know who she is, she's currently known as Mercedes Moné in New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW, also formerly known as Sasha Banks in the WWE. And I did, yeah. So I did get a couple of minutes to say hi. It's nice to meet her, and it's like we talked Sailor Moon pretty briefly. I kind of had like a bit of a geek moment, but But what's kind of funny was Friday morning, I almost broke out my Mercedes Moné shirt. I have one of her dressed like Sailor Moon, and I almost wore it. I'm like, no, I decided to wear a different shirt. But, that would have been just wow if I had worn it,
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, that's basically been my weekend day, besides trying to find out what happened to this mixer, but again, that'll be taken care of later tonight off air and all that cool shit. Anywho, let's get back to the matter at hand here. Let's give you some housekeeping notes. Kick this forward. Sometime today, that would be nice. There we go. All right, just wanted to let you know that podcast VODs, or case video podcast of the show, is available on our YouTube page, youtube.com/animejamsession. Click on playlists, and then podcast episodes will be there. Episodes go up 12 noon, are available 12 noon on Thursdays. Also, normally around this time, we let you know about Fans View Friday. That's on hiatus until next month. Also want to let you know that our Christmas show is December 17th. It'll be a very chillax show. We'll have some holiday-themed stories, kind of reflect back, just kind of roll with it, And then we will be on break until, let me take a look here, until January 14th. We will be back on the 14th of January for our 2025 episodes. So I think that's basically is it. All right, so now we're going to get into Geek Roundtable. This is the part of the show we talk more about the geeky aspects of our lives. So, Ari, what you got for Geek Roundtable?
Well, as I was going through my figurine collection to figure out where I'm going to put things, I was just going through the box of stuff here and whatever, and not sure if I showed, like, I only have like one or two actual Funko Pops. Like, I don't like at all, much less in the box, whatever. But I still have this one, Dan from Street Fighter.
Nice.
I'm not sure if he'll be in Street Fighter 6 or not, but I can only hope. And this one, the Iron Sheik.
Okay, now that's cool.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm not nearly as into him as Mako is.
Well, I mean, I'm the one that kind of got her into him. But
so you're the infection vector.
Yes. But what's interesting is I know people who have hundreds and they've had to pare them down. And I'm like, I'm only collecting the ones of the characters that I like. That's it.
Yeah, same kind of thing.
Yeah, but for some, they just collect because, ooh, shiny. No. Like, oh, I cosplay this character, or this is one of my waifus, or, oh, I like how this guy. Yeah, it's just simple stuff like that. All right, Mako-chan, what do you have on display on the screen now? For those who are in audio only, tell the world.
Yeah. So, keeping up with my plushie addiction, my demon boys, the last of them have finally come in. So this is the demon Beelzebub from Obey Me. He is
Mm-hmm.
the sixth incarnation of the seven deadly sins. His is gluttony. So in the game and anime, he's basically always eating.
Mm-hmm.
He's always in the kitchen. But yeah, I had to, get the finale of my collection, and next week shall be the last.
Oh, cool. He looks like he's not happy.
He's a grumpy Gus when he doesn't eat.
Mm. Sounds like
Um,
somebody I know.
yeah, okay. Um, but yeah, he is just very subdued. He's kind of quiet. Um, but yeah, if he's not eating, he's not happy.
Hmm. Seems legit. All right. So for me, I don't really have anything to show off because again, the figurines I do have, they're sitting in a box at work, and I'm not really wanting to bring them home until I've actually organized my closet and put things the way I want them to be. All of that. Once I have like behind me, I do have some shelving. My next goal is to put in another shelf to put stuff up, and then I can probably have it on display there. But I can say for anime, I have been watching Dan and Ranma One Half, which is really great. I've been following. I'm not gonna choke myself over the Japanese title, but the English title is called VTuber Legend: How I Went Viral After Forgetting to Turn Off My Stream. Basically, for those of you who don't know, it's about a girl who's a VTuber and she gets popular after getting drunk off of drinking strong zeros. But they call them something different. They call them strobe zeros or something like that. Kind of play off the name. And she forgets to turn off her stream and she's just running her mouth like, you know how you have that one drunk friend that kind of doesn't know when to shut up? Yeah, and she gets very popular off of that. So, and what I find kind of cool, and is the fact that when these VTubers are out in public, they are dressed as their avatars, and nobody bats an eye. I mean, you're walking down the street dressed as a princess, going into a 7-Eleven for strong zero, and nobody is saying anything. But then again,
Could be just another weekend at an anime convention, really.
but it's not. But then again, in New York City, nobody would bat an eye either. So
Hmm.
Depending on where in Japan, nobody would bat an eye either.
Okay, fine. All right, all right, fine, fine, fine. You win. You win. Okay, all right, all right. All right, let's get into tonight's stories because we're running late. Ari has to bounce out, and then there's a lot. Then I gotta get everything ready for this weekend because it is Thanksgiving holiday for us in the States. Those who are in the UK, just another day. But let's go ahead and kick things off. I will take the first story. It is about Anime NYC going 4 days. And let's be real, it's not 4 days, it's 3.5 days. All they're really doing is just opening up half day on Thursday so people can buy swag from the dealer's hall, and then maybe a couple of panels. But that's just about it.
That's what New York Comic Con did too. At
Yeah.
one point.
Zenkai Con does the same thing, except that they don't open the dealer's hall early. They just have video rooms running or something like that. See, something like that I think is cool. If you come down Thursday, the con has like a couple of video rooms up, like just showing like potluck or potpourri anime. So you have a place to kind of chill out or something like that, popcorn show.
Hmm.
I think, see, that I like. But anywho, get into the story, let the page load. So, as they said, they announced on Tuesday that for this year's 2025 event that's taking place in the Javits Center is expanding to 4 days for the very first time. And as they're saying, it's going to be open to the public on Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. Main stage programming and the show floor. So that's basically what it is. I mean, we'll see. And looking at the comments, somebody saying this will last 1 year. People can barely survive 3 days. I'm one of those. Now, only because of how massive Anime NYC is. 3 days is I top out at. If it was of a medium-sized convention, I could do 4 days, no questions asked. We will see. But again, I like it when cons will do like the pre-con night or reg night. Like I remember Animazement used to do a thing where if you pre-regged and you came down Thursday night, you could be part of like a special dinner with the guests. So it was like basically like a meet and greet Thursday night in the main ballroom, and that was cool, something like that. I mean, I think that even if you're not pre-registering, if you have like a Friday or a weekend badge and you come down Thursday and there's like a couple of panel rooms going on showing anime or AMVs or something, hey, go for it. So that's what I'm thinking. Anywho, moving right along, we're going to get into our next story here about the Kadokawa Sony merger acquisition. Ari, can you give us some more details about that?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Kadokawa released a statement on Wednesday in response to Reuters' report that Sony is in talks to acquire Kadokawa. The company stated, although there has been some articles regarding the acquisition, its information has not been announced. Kadokawa confirmed that it received an initial letter of intent for acquisition of its shares, but, quote, no decision has been made at this time. The company will make an announcement if there are any facts to be announced in the future. According to Reuters, two sources, quote, familiar with the matter, the talks are ongoing and a deal could be signed in the coming weeks. Sony declined to comment to Reuters on the acquisition talks, and Kadokawa has previously said it could not give any comments. Sony already has a 2% stake in Kadokawa and its stake in its subsidiary From Software, who developed Elden Ring. Aniplex is a subsidiary of Sony Music Entertainment Japan. Animation Studios, A1 Pictures, and Cloverworks are subsidiaries of Aniplex. Sony's Funimation Global Group completed its acquisition of Crunchyroll from AT&T on August 9th, 2021, after the company first announced the acquisition in December 2020. The purchase price was $1.175 billion US.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yes, very much so. And the proceeds are paid in cash at closing. Funimation's home video releases are unlisted under Crunchyroll, and Crunchyroll reached over 15 million paid subscribers to the anime streaming service as of this year. And so Sony announced in May that it will launch an academy to develop talent to create anime. This will aim to nurture anime creators in global markets, made mainly by Aniplex and Crunchyroll, with collaboration from across the industry. Let's hope they pay them well.
I don't think this is really going to happen. There was a discussion about this similar on Orange Lounge Radio about this whole acquisition, because Kadokawa owns FromSoft and other video game companies. It's like I have a feeling it's like they're going to buy Kadokawa, pick what they want, and toss the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they end up buying Kadokawa, this gives them more of a majority stake in the anime industry as a whole, and fans are not going to like that. I personally think that Sony doesn't have enough money to acquire Kadokawa. I think if they did, it will kind of be like when Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard and all those layoffs happened. But according to them, those layoffs were going to happen anyway, but that's neither here nor there. I don't really see this happening. I really don't. It does happen, so be it. But again, I don't see this happening, you know. First, that French company wants to buy 7-Eleven, and now this.
Okay, the buyout of 7-Eleven I wasn't aware of.
Oh yeah, I read about it. You know, when I come into work in the morning, I have my coffee and my breakfast. I open up my MSN start page because I use Edge, and I just open up articles that are interesting to me. And one of them was this French company wanting to buy Seven & I Holdings, lock, stock, and barrel. The Japanese Ministry of Culture stepped in like, no. 7-Eleven is part of the culture here in Japan, so we are not feeling this. And if I'm not mistaken, like the son of the CEO of 7-I is like, I'll buy the company. It's been interesting. And from last I heard, they're like, you want to buy us for how much? You might want to ante that up some more.
How much were they offering?
34 billion?
34 billion?
Yeah, something like that.
A very nice chunk of change.
Yeah, but here's the thing that I've noticed. If you have the money to buy the company flat out, you're good for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have to take out a loan or bring somebody in to help finance it, then I think it's a little bit more trouble than it's worth. That's just me.
I got you.
Yeah, and to go back to discussing Anime NYC, Bonzo06 says that 3 days is his max social tolerance for anime and cons. 2 days is the sweet spot for me. Okay, so my thing is this. I can do 3-day conventions. I could probably do a 4-day convention.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Last time I did a 4-day convention, I thought Friday was a Saturday, and I started packing stuff up early. Remember that, Mako? Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If it's a small to medium convention, I can do 3 days easily. It's just that when it's huge and you're doing press coverage, you have a lot of ground to cover. It gets tiring, you know?
Yeah, especially if it's like super crowded and everyone's packed shoulder to shoulder in the hallways.
Well, I will say, Anime NYC, except in a couple of places on the show floor, it wasn't jam-packed like that. Thankfully.
Okay.
Okay, now that we got that out the way, I'm going to get into
That's
our next
you, I'm
Ari.
afraid.
Yep. All right, Ari, we will see you on next week's show.
I'll see you then.
Yeah, and have a great Thanksgiving, friend.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Bye.
All right. Great. Since I found this out at the last minute, let me go ahead and adjust the. All right. That should do it. There we go. And this whole. See, here's the thing. You know, the monitoring your microphone is good when you hear yourself, but depending when you move back and forth, you may not hear it, and it kind of pops. And sometimes it kind of throws me for a loop, thinking that, oh, my voice is not being picked up. So. What a Tuesday night. Don't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see. What else we have on the docket? Mako, tell them about our favorite, one of our favorite television shows, Alice in Borderland.
Yeah, so Netflix finally revealed that the third season is going to debut in 2025. As of right now, it does look like everybody is returning. Lead cast members, directors, all of that. There is a switchover of executive producer, who is going to be Kazutaka Sakamoto. He was the producer, the executive producer for the live action Yu Yu Hakusho, which I still haven't seen. Yeah, so Robot is planning and producing the season in collaboration with the Seven. Yeah, so it's taken them a little while. The first season dropped December of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
The second season dropped December 2022. So you would think that the third season would drop December of 2024. Unfortunately, that is not the case. And they haven't given when in 2025 it will drop. So I'm hoping we don't have to wait until December of 2025 to see the third season.
I know. It's well, it's sort of like with Wednesday. We're waiting like 2 years for the new season, and I know that got held up because of the strike. That I get. That I get. But when there's nothing connected to it, and you're just waiting, and it's just.
Well, I know most of it is they didn't know if they were going to do a season 3. Just because they had basically covered most of the manga.
True.
So season 3 is going to be the Joker arc, which I don't think was a huge part in the manga. So my guess is they're going to pull that in and then pull stuff from the sequel manga. That's what I'm thinking, or they may take it into a completely different, realm entirely. But I know most of this is because of obviously the post-production and everything that they have to add graphic-wise after the fact. I mean, yeah, it is a lot of craziness that goes on, but the series is very I guess graphic in its blood and gore and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chase scenes and all of that. So there is a lot of editing and crap like that. And then again, depending on what direction they end up taking this in, could be a completely different type of, thing altogether. So I'm really hoping that it's not another year that we have to wait for this.
I agree. Now, when there's always an adaptation, I generally expect things to be slightly different. The only time I feel it'll be complete 1-to-1 because if there's a time difference, like look at Sailor Moon. It was like what 20 years since the original anime, and it was pretty much 95% from the manga. Actually, 99% from the manga. They did add a little bit here and there, but it just flowed. It flowed well. The same thing with Ranma One Half. It's pretty 99% accurate. They did cut out a couple of things from the manga, which from looking back, it doesn't take away from it. It still flows well. So, same thing with Yorosei Yatsura, except that they just cut out a lot of stuff so that they could introduce the characters a lot quicker, which in a way kind of made sense since the reboot was only like 48 episodes or something like that. They didn't even finish the manga, so it's it and that's that. So, but I am curious of how season 3 is going to be, though. That I can definitely say.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're going to talk about Gundam and NASA. And you're probably thinking, what does Gundam and NASA have to do here? So we're going to tell you. Bandai has an upcoming Mobile Suit Gundam card game. It's going to celebrate 45 years of the franchise, and it's preparing to take off with a special announcement, which is going to be a special collaboration event with NASA as one of its top space stations. As per a press release, the Gundam card game will hold a special launch event on December 8th, 2024 at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Bandai card game staff and executives, press, influencers, Retailers will attend the event ahead of the North American launch of the edition beta set in January 2025 and the global release later that year. As per the website, the edition beta set contains everything you need to get started with the game, including booster packs, a card set, and dice damage counters. The Gundam card game garnered attention with its first promo video back in September, with a later teaser showing unit cards like the RX-782 and pilot cards, featuring some of the most iconic Gundam characters like the first series Amuro Ray and the Witch from Mercury Soletta. The press release adds that the game caters to Standard, which is 1v1, Team, 2v2, and Battle Royale, 3+ players with no teams. Each deck totals 50 cards made up of 4 different card types: Unit, Pilot, Base, Command, which players use to battle each other. Pilots can be paired to units to increase their power, while bases defend your shields, and commands provide powerful one-time effect. A designated pairing called a Link unit, such as Hiro Yui and Wing Gundam, can also be made to help players achieve victory. Interested players can visit the Gundam card game website for more information. Alright, that's pretty cool. I would have assumed that I'm assuming they're going to have all these cards and they'll have like special booster packs based on the different Gundam animes, extra stuff. I think, I like that. Ahead of the launch, GCG producer at Bandai Co. Liquidation's card business department in Tokyo, Kyle Sutter, said, "We're excited to launch the Gundam card game with a world premiere at such an iconic and historic location such as NASA's Johnson Space Center. Gundam is truly a global phenomenon, and Bandai Card Games is excited to pay homage with this new and trading card game spanning the history of the franchise. Fans soon will be able to engage and enjoy the world of Gundam in a whole new way." Alongside the new card game, Gundam's 45th anniversary year has seen the return of the first ever Gundam Gunpla model and a new Gundam Seed Freedom Zero anime announcement, which latest trailer can be seen available online. There's also a stylish watch collab with Casio and a whole lot more. The franchise started in 1979 with Mobile Suit Gundam, revolutionizing the anime medium and spawning numerous successive series, movies, merchandise, and events. Fair enough. And that reminds me, in one of the Sailor Moon groups I'm in, somebody posted their Nobel Gundam with the Sailor Moon motif. And that reminded me, I have to get one of my own so I could do like the Sailor Venus motif on it. And breaking news, as per Cedarberry News, the Gundam card game will not be available in South Dakota with an SD Gundam expansion. Ha, ha.
Har.
All right, Mako, now it's your fandom with Twisted Wonderland.
Yeah, so I was excited to hear this. Walt Disney, in their 2024 content showcase in Singapore, revealed that a 3-season anime adaptation of the Twisted Wonderland mobile game is in development. It's being developed by F4 Samurai and will be published by Aniplex. So the first season, titled Episode of Heartslabule. I know it's one of the house names, and I just suck at saying things like that because, yeah. But yeah, so it's going to begin streaming on Disney Plus in October, and then the next 2 seasons will follow at some point. My guess is because they are doing all 3 at the same time kind of thing.
Yeah.
That they'll be working on, season 2 while season 1 is going through, or, maybe season 3 while season 1 is playing. Yeah, so I'm kind of excited. A lot of people do enjoy the series. I played it. I like the characters. I was not, a huge fan of the various adaptations and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and had to go through and all of that. But I do like the characters. I do like the arts. Obviously, since the art is composed by the same person that does Black Butler. Um, so yeah. So we've got that to look forward to for next year, and I'm very, very excited.
I could tell. All right, before we get to our next stories, Bond 06 has something to say here, and I'm going to toss this to Mako since this is more of her wheel yard than than mine. What if Sailor Moon Cross Gundam happen? Like they actually give the Sailor Senshi mobile suits for a limited run in an anime or the manga.
There is fan fiction of this.
Well, that we know, but we're asking your take since we know you're a Sailor Moon fangirl and a Gundam fangirl.
I have written fan fiction of this.
Oh God.
I think that answers your question on if I would like to see it or not.
Fair enough. And so now we're going to get into our last story of the night about a manga magazine raising its minimum pay for creators, which I think is a very good thing. And for those of you who are wondering what magazine it is Shonen Jump. For those of you who don't know, Shonen Jump, or Weekly Shonen Jump, is Japan's biggest and most popular manga anthology. And the publisher Shueisha feels that it's gotten big enough to share a little more of the wealth that the magazine brings in. And an announcement made on Monday, which was, last Monday, on its official Twitter account, Weekly Shonen Jump editorial had said the following. We would like to inform everyone that the minimum manuscript payment for serialized or one-shot manga and Weekly Shonen has raised, effective as of November 2024. Based on sales and profits received from readers on the Weekly Shonen Jump, the print and digital editions, we will continue to make such reservations in the future in order to produce better working environments for our magazine's creators. So basically they're saying, because of you guys buying the magazines so much, and we're making so much money, we're taking a chunk of the profit and giving it to the hardworking people to help bring you this magazine. I think that is a great idea. That's how you trickle down the profits. Under this new policy, artists will be paid a minimum of 31,350 yen, which is $206 per color page, and 20,900 yen per black and white page. Let me see what the conversion on that is. If I can open this and do the conversion. $137 per black and white page. All right. The vast majority of the manga pages are published in black and white, and assuming the average count of 20 pages per chapter, that will work out to 418,000 yen in earnings per chapter or week, which extends to 1,627,000 yen for a month of 4 issues, or around 21.7 million yen for a 52-week year. Okay, I like the sound of that. I do. Okay, so 418,000. So Matt, these mangakas will be making about a little bit under about $2,740, $2,740 a week. Okay. Now, let's see. Let's clear this out. Let's make this billion 160. $10,000 a month. Okay, that's fine. Now we go with 21.7. So they would make about $142,000 a year. Okay. I like that. Now, these are starting rates for new manga creators whose work is being published for the first time. For continuing artists whose series is past its first year of serialization, Weekly Shonen Jump offers annual rate increases, and the magazine's management is open to negotiate even with first timers if they have been offered higher rates from other magazines. First time serialized authors are also provided with 500,000 yen in funds to help cover expenses in getting the series off the ground. Weekly Shonen Jump publishing sibling publication Jump Giga simultaneously announced it's increasing its minimum rates as well to 19,800 yen for color pages and 13,200 yen for black and white. Higher starting pay rates are, and in themselves, good news for budding artists. However, it's also important to keep in mind that while 20 million yen a year sounds like a whole lot, few manga professionals produce an entire series by themselves. It's customary for the manga creators to have multiple assistants, and those assistants get paid by the creator, not the publisher. In other words, a sizable chunk of that 20.7 million yen is going to production costs. In addition, getting paid by the page means not getting paid by the hour, which means no paid vacation time. As mentioned above, 21.7 million yen is a projected payment for 52 weeks of a 20-page black and white chapters, so if the creator wants or needs to take time off, it's going to come with a deduction to their earnings. As a result, it is hard to say whether or not manga creators are in an easy spot financially when starting out with Weekly Shonen Jump without knowing what their expenses and preferred work-life balance is like. If nothing else, though, at least they're in an easier spot than before the rate raise, which is great. Bonzo06 says, this way we won't have any artists suffering from overwork. A healthy creator pool gives us living artists. I think there'll still be some suffering, but not as much because of the rate increase. And to go back to have to pay out the assistants. I remember hearing about this, listening to the Opie Radio podcast. Opie has said that if he needed anybody to help, come on the show, help co-host with him, he would have to pay out of pocket for that. But given the contract he had with XM Sirius, it wasn't that big of a deal. Especially since he was trying to negotiate to get them more money. And he was still paying out of pocket. If I'm not mistaken, Howard Stern does the same thing. So in a way, that does kind of make sense,
Yeah, I mean that's not horrible. The guilds in the U.S. are they're pay out differently, but it's basically the same.
Okay.
So like the comic book artists themselves, they have an average salary of about like 36, 37. That's their median. So obviously if the book is more popular, they're going to get paid more based on all of that. But when you actually look at like the people that draw out the pages,
yeah,
starting rates at Marvel and DC range between 160 to 260 per page. So that's kind of on par. The fact that these people haven't been getting that kind of money is horrible. So yeah, the people that are actually penciling and drawing out which would be the first draft, they get the most. The inkers go down to 75 to 100 per page because obviously they're just inking it and making it more legible. Coloring, depending on whether it's a color comic or black and white, obviously is 20 to 121. And then the people that just go in and write letters, they're getting 10 to 25. So, I mean, that's pretty standard now for the really popular companies. So it's coming under, worldwide standards at this point.
That's good.
It's really good. It's about damn time.
All right, now that we got that out the way, we're going to get into the part of the show that y'all like to stick around for, Meanwhile in Japan. I have to say, we are making good time, and I'm very thankful and appreciative of that. I have so much to do before I leave and head out to your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I had things to do that just did not get done. So,
Well, here's the thing. So, my plan was to get up tomorrow, breakfast, start packing, and somehow after my shift, make my way to the barbershop, then meet up with a friend for coffee, then make my way to your place. But the schedule came out. I don't have to do my 4 hour shift until Friday, which means as soon as I have breakfast and I pack, I can head on out. I just gotta time it so that when I get out of the barbershop, I have at least an hour 10 cushioning time to make my way to the cafe.
Yeah, I have no idea what time I'm getting out of work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're allowed to leave early,
Yeah.
sometimes we're not. So I could get out of there anytime between 3 and 5.
All right, seems fine by me. I actually left a few minutes early today because I had to pick up my wings, but at the same time, work was ridiculously quiet because people had already left to go on their vacations, their holidays, and stuff. So, and I expect when we get back on Monday, the next 2 or say 3 weeks, it's going to be the same way. Let me look at my calendar. Yeah, the next 3 weeks is probably going to be the same way. So, all right, let's get into this story here. Meanwhile, in Japan, Mako, you get the pick.
I don't know. I chose them, so you choose one, and I'll choose.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look here. I'll take the second story.
All right. I'm gonna take the first one then.
All right. I figured you would take the last one.
I mean, it's a story, but it's
Gotcha.
I like this better.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Take it away.
Yeah. So a man is arrested for burying his mom.
Wait. What?
Yep. Yeah, so at approximately 1:30 p.m. on November 18th, a groundskeeper at the Shitanoji Yamato Betsuin Cemetery in Nara City discovered someone's right wrist protruding from the ground. The police were called in to exhume the body and conduct an autopsy, which determined the body belonged to a woman at least 70 years old who likely died earlier the same month. No cause of death was determined, but there were no signs of foul play. The subsequent investigation led to the arrest of 71-year-old Ryuichi Kurata of Suita City in neighboring Osaka Prefecture on charges of abandoning a corpse. Kurata admitted to burying the body and said it was his mother whom he lived with, which is weird because they said it was a woman of at least 70, and now this is saying that he was 71. Yeah. Yeah. So he admitted to burying the body and said it was his mother whom he lived with. He was also already leasing the plot where he buried the body. So while it's clearly not the normal way to inter a loved one, it could be a stretch to say that the abandoned body kind of had rights to be there. The first issue is that people's bodies are rarely buried in Japan. Cremation is by far the most common method, and the remaining ash and bone are placed in an urn, which is then stored in a rather small box-like space under the grave. The benefits of the style is that it saves a lot of space. Graveyards in Japan are often dense clusters of stone monuments, but it is possible to get some more spacious plots too if desired. It would seem likely that Karada had leased one of the larger ones and also possibly hadn't set up a monument yet. Since graves are usually shared among family members, it's not strange for him to put his mother into a grave that he leased. It's just extremely strange for him to have buried the whole uncremated body by himself, and that puts him on the hook for breach of contract along with a whole range of criminal charges like trespassing, vandalism, and obstruction of business. However, the reports say he was arrested for the crime of abandoning a corpse. So, yeah, the legal definition, the crime of abandoning a corpse, is referred to in Article 190, which states those who damage, abandon, or take possession of a corpse, bones, hair, or anything placed in a coffin shall be punished by imprisonment for no more than 3 years. So it's kind of open to interpretation, but yeah.
Hmm.
So um, in past cases, people have been found guilty of abandoning bodies, despite the fact that, where the bodies happen to be abandoned, including in, people's homes. Um, so, yeah, it's a little bit weird. Um, but at the same time, if the age of 71 for him is true, he could also just, not have the mental capacity to do what was right,
Mm-hmm.
or the monetary capacity to pay to do what was right. But yeah, so police are still trying to confirm that the woman is actually his mom.
Hmm.
Um, Again, considering they were saying that she was in her 70s and he's also in his 70s, it's leading to a little bit of weird details.
Shh, who you kidding?
So I would not be surprised if there's an update at some point saying that, this was not his mom, but, somebody else.
Given the age, it wouldn't surprise me that you find out it's his sister or a cousin or something.
Or his girlfriend or wife or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I will say this. When I was in Japan, I did pass a few cemeteries. One was notable to me in the aspect of how it was laid out. Now, here in the US, it's pretty obvious that, you're walking past a cemetery. There's a metal gate. You see the tombstones, the markers, and all of that. Done. Now, in Japan, there are high wooden fences. And if you look in between the slats, whatever space it, you can see the markers that this is, the plots and so forth. And it's just kind of like, if you remember, it's sort of like how you will see like a castle and like the walls around the castle per se. It's like that, but I feel the difference is the way it's set up. You don't look in. You just like this is a cemetery. You keep it walking. That way the dead can lay in peace and so forth. To me, it just feels like a lot more respectable way, as opposed to like walking by like these gates and Understand? Understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there are a lot of people that like to go walking through cemeteries and such.
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoy it just because it is really peaceful to walk through, but obviously I'm not having, you know, bonfires and orgies and crap like that on the gravestones. Some people are just, you know, icky.
I mean,
Um,
I can understand like a goth photo shoot, especially if it's in a part of a cemetery that's more historic and it says that you are allowed to do that, you know. I think older historic cemeteries doing goth, it fits better as opposed to going into one where people have been dead for less than 50 years.
I mean, it
Yeah.
really depends.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain places that, as long as you are being respectable,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then it, then it's okay.
Yeah.
Like New Orleans. New Orleans have a lot of cemeteries, and a lot of tourists go to visit those cemeteries.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of photo shoots that take place in those cemeteries. Um, and those are one of those that everything is above ground.
Right.
You do not get buried underground in New Orleans.
You'll get washed away.
Exactly. So everything is either encased in concrete or in a mausoleum or, something of that sort. And because of the age of it, the graveyards in New Orleans have been open and going since, you know, the wars of many, many, many years ago. So they have become a very gothic staple
Hmm.
in a lot of photo shoots and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people look at those photos and think, oh, well, I'll just go to my local cemetery and do something with that. And it's,
Not the
it's
same.
right. It's not the same. And at that point, it's, they're not doing it for the beauty of the actual, area. They're doing it to, it's for them, it's a prop. And that's when it becomes, you know, kind of icky.
Seems legit. All right, now we're going to get into our last story tonight. This time we're talking about a theft victim who turns to crime. And trust me, I think a lot of us have been there where we get robbed and, we rob somebody to kind of, trust me, I think a few of us have been. But not for this. A victim of green onion theft becomes a green onion thief. You heard right.
Mm-hmm.
Many a philosophical mind has lamented at the sad phenomenon of how so often violence begets violence. Physical violence isn't the only destructive, ill-advised behavior for which such patterns hold true. But however, in the Kyoto prefecture, an example of a green onion theft begetting green onion theft has occurred. Let's see, going to this 2 days ago. So it was last Thursday, Kyoto District Court Judge Tomoko Yamaguchi presided over a case of a 28-year-old man charged with theft. According to prosecutors, between the morning of August 30th and the evening of September 1st, the man roughly stole 216 kilograms, which is 476 pounds, of green onions from farmers' fields in the town of Koyama, Kyoto Prefecture. Specifically, the man stole Kujo Negi, an heirloom variety of green onion grown in the Kyoto area. While Kujo Negi are considered to be especially delicious kind of green onion, they're not exactly the Kobe beef of the vegetable world. The man's haul of stolen goods has an estimated value of 190,000 yen, which is about $1,240. So it wasn't like this was going to be a big score to bring him enough ill-gotten dough to retire on a private island. So why did he decide to steal this specifically? Because the man himself was a farmer who grew onions, or rather, he tried to grow them but wasn't very successful at it. The man started his own independent farm back in January, but the high heat of this past summer, he claims, resulted in low yields and he wasn't growing enough to supply his clients with the total 800 kilograms per week of green onions they had agreed on. Okay. The man says that he was worried about losing customers, which would put him in especially a bad spot financially since he had gambled away or otherwise wasted much of the money he had. Shocker. So to make up for the slack in his deliveries, the man decided to steal Kujo Negi from other farmers, harvesting them straight out of the owner's fields. The man said he had gotten the idea to do so after being the victim of crop theft himself. I had about 200 to 300 kilograms of green onions stolen from my fields back around July, so I arrived at the improper way to thinking that the quickest solution would be to steal other people's crops too. However, as we all learned as kids, two wrongs don't make a right, and the man who has admitted to the charges now has to hope that the court will be lenient in his sentencing. His defense lawyer is asking for a suspended sentence, which would mean no jail time as long as the man stays out of any other trouble with the law, and his argument cited the man's intent to compensate the farmers he stole the green onions from their losses. However, referring to that as intent suggests that he's yet to actually pay them back, and the prosecution, in calling the man's actions a selfish crime with only his personal profits in mind, is asking for 2 years in prison when the man is sentenced on December 19th. However, things shake out though. Hopefully this will put a stop to the cycle of green onion theft. Bond006 says, do crimes to fulfill your contractual objections. He is a true villain. And Sia DeBerry says, it was a matter of negligence.
I prefer a victim of green onion theft. What a scallion doll.
Oh.
Can blame Sia DeBerry for that one too.
Well, at least it didn't make you cry.
What about the ninjas?
Go ninja, go ninja, go.
If you say so.
All right. I think it's time for us to wrap it up and get the heck up on out of here.
I agree.
Yeah, because we have so much to do, so little time. So if you like... You gonna say something?
I said I agree.
So if you like tonight's show, tell a friend. They in turn tell another friend, and so on and so forth. We're independent podcasters, independent artists, and so forth. So what you like and don't like, tell us. We'd like to know. You can drop us a line at podcast@animejamsession.com. Again, that is podcast@animejamsession.com. We're here to believe you. Don't forget to check out our podcast, which is available on any podcasting app such as Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. So definitely check out our podcast there. We love the support. We want to know what you think. What's cool is some of these apps have a section for you to leave reviews. So drop us a line. We want to know. And while you're at it, please check out our website at animejamsession.com. You'll find our weekly podcast, cosplay tips and tricks, cosplay interviews, editorials, anime reviews, convention reports, links to our YouTube and Facebook page of cosplay and convention coverage, photos, videos, everything. And our social media, Anime Jam Session on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Blue Sky. Follow us in those so you know when we're going live, when we have new stories, new articles, and all that cool stuff. So please show us show us a little bit of love and support. And I personally want to thank you for following us on those socials, because we really couldn't do it all without you. Now, for those of you who are still watching, down below is our tip jar. There are direct links to our Stream Elements, Streamlabs, and our Ko-Fi. If you want to, you can cheer us on with bits in the chat room. You can also sub to the channel and hand out gift subs, which is cool. So we're going to go around the room. Last words, Mako-chan.
I can't wait to go to bed.
My last words is a little bit of the chaos theory. That's it. That's all I really have. So, let's see. I also got to do something. Done. All right. So that is it. End of list. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Anime Jam Session. Ari will be here. We're gonna have some fun times so we go on break. So we implore you to come by and hang out with us and show a little bit of love. Yeah, that's it. So look at the time here. Okay, works. No, we don't need an ad. No ads. Please stop. Thank you. We're leaving Twitch. Come on now. We want to sign off. So anywho, we're gonna get up on out of here. So I'm Ranma.
And I am Mako-chan.
Great fight, great night. See you next week.
Good night.
Say goodnight, Mako-chan.
Good night, Mako-chan.
Awesome. Perfect. We're going to get up and out of here. See you next week.
This podcast has been a production of Anime Jam Session and AJS Productions. No fanboys and fangirls were hurt, maimed, shot, electrocuted, or pistol whipped in this episode. For now. The views, opinions, and thoughts expressed on this show do not reflect the staff or the network as a whole. But we're still right, damn it. For transcripts of this episode, start typing. Check us out at animejamsession.com and vognetwork.com for more information about us and other programming. Jamatane!